A patrol car skids into the hospital loading bay, brakes shrieking against asphalt. The door flies open. Officer Daniel Hayes steps out, one hand already on his belt, eyes locked on the woman by the rear entrance. She's in scrubs, navy blue, wrinkled from a double shift, loading a cardboard box into the trunk of a silver Honda. Her movements are careful, methodical. She doesn't look up. "Stop right there," Hayes barks. She freezes. He moves closer, boots heavy on the pavement. His partner, Officer Ramos, circles around the passenger side, hand hovering near his holster. The woman's hands rise slowly, palms open, fingers spread. She doesn't speak, doesn't explain. Just stands there, silent, as red laser dots from backup units crawl across her chest. They're not here for a crime scene. They're here for her. If you want to know how a quiet night shift nurse became the target of an armed military response, and why the officer who detained her would lose everything within 72 hours, stay with me until the end. Drop a comment with the city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. Lena Whitaker had been on her feet for 11 hours when the call came through. "Whitaker, we need you in Trauma 2. She didn't answer, just pushed through the double doors, hands already reaching for gloves. The ER at Langford General was chaos tonight. 3 MVAs, a stabbing, and a kid who'd swallowed half a bottle of Tylenol because his girlfriend broke up with him. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting everything in that sick yellow glow that made even healthy people look half dead. Trauma 2 was worse. A man in his 50s lay on the gurney, chest rising in shallow gasps. His shirt had been cut away. Blood pooled beneath him, thick and dark. Lena moved to his side without hesitation, fingers finding his pulse. Weak, thready. She glanced at the monitor, BP dropping fast. "He's crashing," she said. Dr. Patel didn't look up from the ultrasound screen. "I know." Lena's hands moved on autopilot, starting a second IV line, hanging fluids, calling out vitals. She'd done this 1,000 times, maybe more. Her voice was calm, steady, the kind of calm that came from years of practice, the kind that didn't waver even when the monitor started screaming. "VFib!" someone shouted. Lena grabbed the defibrillator paddles, charged them, waited for the all clear. Shock delivered. The man's body jerked. The line on the monitor flattened, then spiked back into rhythm. She exhaled, set the paddles down, and stepped back as the surgical team took over. Patel glanced at her. "Nice work." She nodded, stripped off her gloves, walked out. In the hallway, she leaned against the wall and closed her eyes. Just for a second. Her back ached. Her feet throbbed. She could still smell the blood, metallic, sharp, clinging to her scrubs. She'd shower when she got home. Maybe, if she had the energy. Her phone buzzed. Dispatch. Unit 47 requesting supply drop. Coordinates attached. Lena looked at the message, then at the clock on the wall. 11:43 p.m. She was supposed to be off at midnight, but the request wasn't optional. It never was. She pocketed her phone and headed for the supply room. The loading bay was quiet. Most of the staff had gone home. The night shift skeleton crew was inside, handling the overflow. Lena moved quickly, scanning the shelves for the items on the list. Gauze, saline, hemostatic agents, field dressings. She loaded everything into a cardboard box, double-checked the inventory sheet, and carried it outside. The air was cool, clean. A relief after the stale heat of the ER. She popped the trunk of her Honda, set the box inside, and was reaching for the lid when headlights flooded the bay. A patrol car pulled in fast, tires squealing. Lena straightened, squinting against the glare. The engine cut. 2 officers stepped out. The first one, tall, broad-shouldered, with a buzz cut and a jaw that looked like it had been carved out of granite, walked straight toward her. His badge caught the light. "Hayes, D. Evening?" he said. Lena nodded. "Evening." Hayes glanced at the box in her trunk, then back at her. "What's that?" Medical supplies. 4. A unit in the field." His eyes narrowed. "What unit?" Lena hesitated. Not because she didn't know the answer, because she knew better than to give it. "I'm not at liberty to say." Hayes smiled. It wasn't friendly. "Not at liberty. That's cute." He turned to his partner. Ramos, call it in. Possible theft. Ramos, younger and quieter, pulled out his radio. Lena's stomach tightened, but her face stayed neutral. She'd been through worse than this. Much worse. There's no theft, she said evenly. I have authorization. Then show me. It's classified. Hayes laughed. Short, sharp, humorless. Classified. Right. You're a nurse, not CIA. He stepped closer, blocking her path to the driver's seat. Here's what I think. I think you're walking out of here with hospital property, and I think you're hoping nobody notices. I'm telling you, I have authorization. Then prove it. I can't. Then step away from the vehicle. Lena didn't move. Her pulse was steady. Her breathing controlled. She'd learned a long time ago that panic was a choice, and she chose not to make it. Hayes's hand drifted toward his belt. I said step away. Behind him, the hospital's rear entrance opened. A woman in a white coat stepped out, Dr. Marianne Holt, the night supervisor. She looked between Lena and the officers, her expression tightening. Is there a problem? Holt asked. Hayes didn't take his eyes off Lena. Your employee here is removing hospital property without authorization. Holt frowned. Lena? Lena turned to her. I have authorization. It's in the system. Show me. It's restricted access. Holt's frown deepened. She glanced at Hayes, then back at Lena. I don't have any record of this. Because it's not in your clearance level. Holt's jaw tightened. Lena, I don't know what you think you're doing, but if you can't provide documentation, I'm following protocol. What protocol? Lena said nothing. Holt exhaled sharply. Officer, I apologize. This is clearly a misunderstanding. I'll handle it internally. Hayes crossed his arms. With all due respect, ma'am, if she can't prove she's authorized to take those supplies, that's theft, and I'm not walking away from that. She's been with us for 6 years. She's never... I don't care if she's been here 60. Rules are rules. Holt looked at Lena, something uncomfortable flickering in her eyes. Lena, just open the box. Show them it's nothing serious. I can't. Why not? Because it's sealed. Chain of custody can't be broken. Hayes snorted. Chain of custody. Listen to her. He pulled out his cuffs. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to step aside. Lena's hands were still at her sides. Her voice was calm, too calm. You're making a mistake. Yeah? Prove it. She met his eyes, held them. Check the authorization logs. System timestamp 2247. Dispatch request code Victor 3 Alpha. Hayes glanced at Ramos. Run it. Ramos pulled out his phone, typing quickly. A few seconds passed. Then his expression shifted. Boss? What? It's flagged. Restricted access. Hayes's jaw clenched. What does that mean? Means I can't see it. Needs higher clearance. Whose clearance? Ramos shook his head. Doesn't say. Hayes turned back to Lena. So you're telling me you've got some magic clearance that nobody else has, and we're just supposed to take your word for it? Yes. He laughed again, bitter, mean. No, that's not how this works. He grabbed her arm. Lena didn't resist, didn't pull away, just looked at him. You really want to do this? Yeah, I really do. Holt stepped forward. Officer, please. Ma'am, I'm asking you one more time to step aside. Holt hesitated. Then slowly she backed up. Lena felt the cold metal of the cuffs against her wrist, and then the night exploded. Boss? The sound came first, low, rumbling, growing louder. Engine roar, multiple engines, heavy ones, the kind that didn't belong on a civilian street. Hayes froze. The rumble turned into a thunder. 3 black SUVs tore into the loading bay, headlights blazing. They stopped in a perfect line, doors already opening before the engines cut. Men and women in tactical gear poured out, vests, rifles, helmets. They moved with precision, no hesitation, no wasted motion. Hayes stumbled back, hand going to his holster. Don't! Someone barked. A man stepped forward, tall, late 40s, graying hair cropped short. His vest had no name tag, just a patch. JSOCC, Joint Special Operations Command Coordination. His eyes locked on Hayes. Step away from her. Hayes blinked. What? I said step away. Who the hell are you? The man didn't answer, just gestured to one of his team. A woman in full tactical gear moved to Lena's side, gently removing the cuff from her wrist. Lena rubbed her wrist, her face still calm, still controlled. Hayes was staring. What is this? The man in charge turned to him. I'm Major Eli Crane, and you just detained one of my operatives. You're... what? Crane stepped closer. Lieutenant Lena Whitaker, attached to JSOCC under Classified Emergency Response Operations. She was conducting an authorized supply transfer. He glanced at the box in the trunk, which you just interrupted. Hayes looked at Lena, then at Crane, then back at Lena. She's a nurse. She's a combat medic. 15 years active duty, 2 tours overseas. She holds a top-secret clearance and operates under direct military authority when activated. Crane's voice was flat, cold. And you just tried to arrest her. Holt's face had gone white. She opened her mouth, closed it. No words came. Ramos was backing away slowly, hands raised. I didn't know. Of course you didn't, Crane said, because you didn't investigate. You assumed. He turned back to Hayes. You escalated without cause. You ignored her statements. You disregarded protocol. And you put your hands on her. Hayes's face flushed red. She didn't identify herself. She doesn't have to. You're a cop. Your job is to verify before you act. You didn't. I was doing my job. No, you were flexing. Crane stepped closer. And now you're going to answer for it. One of the tactical team members approached, holding a tablet. Sir, we've pulled the footage. Hospital security, dispatch logs, everything. Crane took the tablet, scanned it, then handed it to Hayes. Watch. Hayes looked at the screen. The footage was clear. Lena loading the box, the timestamp matching her statement. The authorization code flagged in the system. Everything she'd said was true. His hand trembled. Crane's voice was quiet now, dangerous. You didn't believe her because she was calm, because she didn't fight back, because she didn't scream or cry or beg. He paused. You thought that made her weak. Hayes said nothing. You were wrong. Crane turned to Holt. Dr. Holt, I'm going to need a copy of your internal policies regarding employee authorization and law enforcement interaction, and I'm going to need the names of everyone who witnessed this. Holt nodded quickly. Of course. I'm so sorry. I didn't... Save it. Crane glanced at Lena. You good? Lena nodded. Finish your drop. We'll handle this. She closed the trunk, got in the car, and started the engine. As she pulled out of the bay, she glanced in the rearview mirror. Hayes was still standing there, staring at the ground. Holt was on her phone, voice rising in panic. Crane was already talking to someone on his radio, voice low and clipped. Lena drove into the night. Her hands didn't shake. Her breathing stayed even. She'd been through worse. By the time she returned to the hospital 2 hours later, the loading bay was empty. No patrol cars, no tactical units, just the usual night shift quiet. She parked, grabbed her bag, and walked inside. The ER was still chaotic. A drunk driver had wrapped his car around a telephone pole. 2 nurses were trying to calm down a psych patient who kept screaming about demons. Lena clocked back in, grabbed a fresh pair of gloves, and got to work. Nobody said anything. Nobody looked at her. But she could feel it, the shift in the air, the whispers that would start tomorrow, the questions nobody would ask out loud. At 3 a.m., Holt found her in the break room. Lena? Lena looked up from her coffee. Holt's face was tight. I need to apologize. Okay. I should have trusted you. Lena said nothing. Holt sat down across from her. I didn't know. About the military thing. You weren't supposed to. Still, I should have backed you up. Lena sipped her coffee. You made a choice. You thought siding with the cop was safer. Holt flinched. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. Silence. Holt cleared her throat. For what it's worth, the hospital's issuing a formal statement. You're cleared of any wrongdoing, and we're reviewing our policies. Good. And Officer Hayes, he's been placed on administrative leave. Internal Affairs is investigating. Lena nodded. Holt hesitated. Are you going to file a complaint? I don't have to. Major Crane already did. Holt's eyes widened. He what? He filed a formal complaint with the police department, the city, and the state oversight board. Hayes violated protocol. He escalated without cause, and he put his hands on a federal operative during an authorized operation. Lena's voice was calm, matter of fact. That's not just misconduct. That's a federal offense. Holt looked like she might be sick. Lena stood, tossed her cup in the trash, and headed for the door. Lena, Holt called after her. She stopped. Why didn't you tell him? Right at the start. Why didn't you just say you were military? Lena turned, looked at her. Because I shouldn't have to. 3 days later, Daniel Hayes sat in a windowless room at the Internal Affairs office. Across from him, 2 investigators laid out the evidence. Security footage, dispatch logs, witness statements, Crane's formal complaint. It was airtight. You detained a federal operative without cause, the lead investigator said. You ignored her statements, you escalated the situation, and you physically restrained her. Hayes's lawyer leaned forward. My client was acting in good faith. Your client was acting on assumptions, and those assumptions were wrong. Hayes stared at the table. His career was over. He knew it. Everyone in the room knew it. You're being terminated, effective immediately, the investigator continued, and we're recommending permanent decertification. You won't work as a cop again. Not in this state. Not anywhere. Hayes's hands clenched into fists. Do you have anything to say? He looked up. His eyes were red. I was just doing my job. The investigator's expression didn't change. No, you weren't. Lena didn't watch the news coverage, didn't read the articles, didn't check social media. She just kept working. Shifts blurred together. Trauma cases, cardiac arrests, overdoses, the usual chaos. But now people looked at her differently. Nurses who used to ignore her started saying hello. Doctors asked for her opinion more often. Even the security guards nodded when she passed. She didn't acknowledge it, just kept her head down and did her job. One night, a young nurse, fresh out of school, maybe 23, cornered her in the supply room. Is it true? The girl asked. Lena didn't look up from the shelf. Is what true? That you're, military? Used to be. And you're still, connected? Lena grabbed a box of syringes. Sometimes. The girl hesitated. Why didn't you tell anyone? Lena finally looked at her. Because it's not relevant. But I'm a nurse. That's my job. The other stuff, it's separate. The girl frowned. But doesn't it bother you? That people didn't know? That they treated you like what? The girl faltered. Like you were nobody. Lena's expression softened, just a little. I don't need people to know who I am. I just need them to do their jobs. She walked past the girl, pausing at the door. And if they don't, that's on them, not me. 2 weeks after the incident, Langford General held a staff meeting. The CEO stood at the front of the room, looking uncomfortable. We want to address the recent situation involving one of our staff members. Lena sat in the back, arms crossed. First, we want to make it clear that Lena Whitaker has been fully cleared of any wrongdoing. The accusations were unfounded, and we deeply regret the way the situation was handled. A few people glanced her way. She didn't react. Second, we're implementing new policies to prevent this from happening again. All staff with secondary clearances or authorizations will now be flagged in our system, and any law enforcement interaction on hospital property will require supervisory approval before escalation. Applause. Scattered, half-hearted. Lena didn't clap. After the meeting, the CEO approached her. Lena, I just want to say, don't. He blinked. I'm trying to apologize. I know, but I don't need it. She met his eyes. I need you to fix the system so this doesn't happen to someone else. He nodded slowly. We will. Good. She walked out. That night, Lena sat in her apartment, staring at the wall. Her phone buzzed. Major Crane. Status update. Hayes terminated. Decertified. Won't work law enforcement again. Thought you'd want to know. She read the message, typed a response, deleted it, typed another. Lena. Thanks. She set the phone down. Outside, the city hummed. Sirens wailed in the distance. Life went on. Lena stood, walked to the window, and looked out at the lights. Somewhere out there, someone was having the worst night of their life. Someone was bleeding, dying, screaming for help, and when the call came, she'd be ready. Because that's what she did. That's who she was. Not because anyone knew her name, not because anyone respected her title, but because when everything fell apart, someone had to be the one who didn't break. She'd been that person for 15 years, and she'd be that person until the day she couldn't anymore. Her phone buzzed again. Dispatch. Unit 19 requesting emergency medical consult. Coordinates attached. Immediate response required. Lena grabbed her keys and disappeared into the night. The coordinates led her to the industrial district, 20 minutes outside the city limits. Warehouses lined the streets, their windows dark and empty. Chain-link fences sagged between crumbling brick buildings. This wasn't the kind of place dispatch usually sent her. Lena pulled into an alley between two abandoned factories. Her headlights caught movement, a figure in tactical gear waving her forward. She killed the engine and stepped out, medical bag already in hand. Lieutenant Whitaker, the soldier said. Young, maybe 25. His face was tight with stress. What do we have? Civilian injury, fell through a rotted floor on the 3rd level, compound fracture, possible internal bleeding. We need an assessment before we move him. Lena followed him inside. The building smelled like rust and decay. Her boots crunched on broken glass. They climbed a stairwell that groaned under their weight, then crossed a floor where moonlight streamed through holes in the ceiling. The injured man lay in the corner, surrounded by 3 more soldiers. He was conscious, breathing fast and shallow. His leg was bent at an angle that made Lena's stomach turn. She knelt beside him. I'm Lena. I'm going to help you. He nodded, teeth clenched. She worked quickly, checking vitals, stabilizing the leg, starting an IV for pain management. The soldiers watched in silence. They knew better than to interfere. When she finished, she stood and gestured to the team leader. He's stable for transport, but you need a hospital within 30 minutes or he's going to lose that leg. Closest facility? Langford General. Tell them Lieutenant Whitaker cleared him for immediate admission. They'll have a surgical team waiting. The team leader nodded. Understood. Lena packed her kit and left. By the time she reached her car, the soldiers were already carrying the injured man down the stairs on an improvised stretcher. She didn't wait to see them off. Her job was done. She drove back toward the city, exhaustion settling into her bones. The clock on her dashboard read 4:47 a.m. She'd been awake for almost 24 hours, but sleep would have to wait. She still had 3 hours left on her hospital shift. When she pulled into the Langford General parking lot, the sky was starting to lighten. Pink and orange bled across the horizon. She sat in her car for a moment, eyes closed, gathering herself. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. We need to talk. Lena frowned. She didn't recognize the number, didn't recognize the area code either. She typed a response. Lena. Who is this? 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Unknown number. Captain Javier Ruiz, JSOC. Major Crane gave me your number. Can we meet? Lena's jaw tightened. Crane wouldn't have passed her contact information unless it was important. She glanced at the hospital entrance, then back at her phone. Lena. When? Captain Ruiz. Now. There's a diner 2 blocks west of the hospital. Sullivan's. I'm already here. She should have said no, should have gone inside, finished her shift, gone home. But something in the message felt urgent, and Crane didn't work with people who wasted time. Lena, 10 minutes. She started the car. Sullivan's Diner was the kind of place that had been around since the 70s and hadn't updated anything since. Red vinyl booths, checkered floors, a jukebox in the corner that didn't work. Lena spotted Ruiz immediately, late 30s, Hispanic, sitting in a corner booth with a view of the door. He wore civilian clothes, but the way he sat gave him away. Straight-backed, alert, scanning. She slid into the booth across from him. "Lieutenant Whitaker?" "Just Lena." He nodded. "Javier." A waitress appeared, poured coffee without asking, and disappeared. Lena wrapped her hands around the mug. The warmth felt good. "Crane said you handled the Hayes situation well," Ruiz said. "I didn't handle anything. Crane did." "You stayed calm, didn't escalate. That takes discipline." Lena sipped her coffee. "Why am I here?" Ruiz leaned back. "How much do you know about JSOC operations?" "Enough to know I don't ask questions." "Smart." He paused. "We're running a coordinated response operation, multi-agency, federal, state, local. The goal is to streamline emergency medical support for high-risk scenarios. Hostage situations, active shooters, terrorist threats, things that require immediate tactical medical intervention." Lena set down her mug. And we need people like you, combat experience, medical expertise, clearance, discretion. I already do consult work. This is different. This is full integration. You'd be embedded with tactical teams, on-call 24/7, higher pay, better equipment, full federal benefits. Lena studied him. "What's the catch?" Ruiz smiled faintly. "You'd have to leave Langford General." Silence. "They need me here," Lena said. "They need nurses here. You're more than that." "I like being a nurse." "I'm not saying you don't. I'm saying you're wasted on 12-hour ER shifts patching up drunks and junkies." He leaned forward. "You saved a guy's leg tonight. You stabilized him in a condemned building with minimal equipment in under 10 minutes. How many nurses can do that?" Lena didn't answer. "The hospital doesn't appreciate what you are. The military does. I left active duty for a reason." "I know, and I'm not asking you to re-enlist. This is contract work, civilian status. You'd still have autonomy. You'd just be doing what you're already doing, except full-time, with proper support." Lena looked out the window. The sky was brighter now. Traffic was starting to pick up. Somewhere in the city, people were waking up, getting ready for work, living normal lives. She'd stopped having a normal life 15 years ago. "I need time to think," she said. Ruiz slid a business card across the table. "Take all the time you need, but if you're interested, call me. We're building something important, and we want you on the team." Lena took the card, didn't look at it, just tucked it into her pocket and stood. "Thanks for the coffee." She walked out. The hospital was busier when she returned. Day shift was arriving. Nurses clustered around the coffee station, swapping stories about their weekends. Lena clocked in, grabbed a fresh set of scrubs from the locker room, and headed to the ER. Dr. Patel was already there, reviewing charts. He glanced up when she approached. "You look like hell," he said. "Thanks. Seriously, when's the last time you slept?" Lena shrugged. "I'll sleep when I'm dead." Patel frowned. "That's not funny." "Wasn't trying to be." He handed her a chart. Bed 3. Elderly woman, possible stroke, needs a full workup. Lena took the chart and headed for bed 3. The woman was in her 70s, eyes unfocused, left side of her face drooping. Lena moved through the assessment on autopilot, checking pupils, testing grip strength, running through the stroke protocol. The woman's daughter stood nearby, wringing her hands. "Is she going to be okay?" the daughter asked. "We're running tests. The doctor will have more information soon." "But will she be okay?" Lena met her eyes. "I don't know." The daughter's face crumpled. "You have to know. You have to tell me something." Lena's voice softened. "I can't make promises, but we're doing everything we can." It wasn't enough. It never was. But it was the truth. The rest of the shift blurred. Lena moved from patient to patient, room to room, crisis to crisis. A kid with a broken arm, a man having chest pain, a woman who'd overdosed on her prescription meds and was already regretting it. By the time noon rolled around, Lena's feet were numb and her head was pounding. She was restocking a supply cart when Dr. Holt appeared. "Lena, can I talk to you?" Lena didn't look up. "I'm busy." It'll just take a minute. Lena sighed and turned. What? Holt glanced around, then lowered her voice. There's been some feedback from the staff. About? About you. About what happened with Officer Hayes. Lena's expression didn't change. What kind of feedback? Some people are uncomfortable. They feel like they didn't really know you, like you were hiding something. I wasn't hiding anything. I was doing my job. I know, but the military thing, people didn't know about that. They didn't need to. Holt hesitated. Lena, I'm not trying to make this difficult. I just think it would help if you were more open with the team. Let them know who you are. Lena stared at her. They know who I am. I'm a nurse. But you're also... I'm a nurse, Lena repeated. That's all they need to know. Holt's jaw tightened. Fine, but if the tension continues, we may need to revisit this conversation. Is that a threat? It's a reality. Lena turned back to the supply cart. Noted. Holt walked away. Lena's hand shook as she restocked the shelves. Not from fear, from anger. The kind of anger that had nowhere to go. She'd spent 6 years at this hospital, 6 years proving herself. And now, because people knew she had another life, they were uncomfortable. She finished restocking and headed for the locker room. She needed air, needed space, needed to get out of this building before she said something she'd regret. The locker room was empty. She sat on the bench, head in her hands, and just breathed. Her phone buzzed. Major Crane. Heard Ruiz reached out. Just want you to know, no pressure, but the offer's real. Think about it. Lena read the message 3 times. Then she pulled out Ruiz's card and stared at it. What was she doing here? Really? She loved nursing, loved helping people. But the hospital didn't love her back. It tolerated her, used her. And the moment things got complicated, it sided with the cops instead of its own staff. Maybe Ruiz was right. Maybe she was wasted here. She put the card back in her pocket and stood. She still had 4 hours left on her shift. She'd think about it later. But deep down, she already knew what her answer would be. The afternoon dragged. Lena's exhaustion was catching up with her. She missed an IV stick on a patient and had to try again. She snapped at a resident who asked a stupid question. She spilled coffee on her scrubs and didn't bother changing. At 4 p.m., Patel pulled her aside. Go home. I'm fine. You're not. You're running on fumes. Go home, sleep, come back tomorrow. Lena wanted to argue, but she was too tired. She nodded, clocked out, and left. The drive home was a blur. She didn't remember hitting half the stoplights. When she pulled into her apartment complex, she sat in the car for 10 minutes, staring at nothing. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. This is Officer Ramos. I need to talk to you. Lena's stomach twisted. She stared at the message, then typed a response. Lena. About what? Officer Ramos? Hayes. He's not taking the termination well. I think he's planning something. Lena's pulse quickened. Lena. What do you mean, planning something? Officer Ramos. I don't know, but he's been making calls, asking questions about you, where you live, where you work. I think you should be careful. Lena's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Lena. Why are you telling me this? Officer Ramos. Because what happened wasn't right. And I don't want it to get worse. Lena read the message again. Then she got out of the car and scanned the parking lot. Empty, quiet, nothing out of place. But the unease didn't go away. She walked to her apartment, locked the door behind her, and set her bag down. Then she pulled out her phone and called Crane. He picked up on the second ring. Whitaker. I just got a message from Ramos. He says Hayes is asking questions about me. Silence. Crane? I heard you. I'm already on it. What does that mean? It means I'm making some calls. Hayes is a problem, but he's not going to be your problem. That's not reassuring. It's the best I can give you right now. Just stay alert. Don't go anywhere alone. And if you see anything suspicious, you call me immediately. Okay. I mean it, Lena. Hayes lost everything. People like that are dangerous. I know. Crane hung up. Lena set her phone down and walked to the window. She looked out at the parking lot again, still empty. But she couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching. She pulled the curtains closed and triple-checked the locks. Then she sat on the couch and waited. Sleep didn't come easily that night. Every creak in the building made her jump. Every car that passed outside made her look toward the window. She kept her phone on the coffee table, screen facing up, volume turned all the way up. At 2 a.m., she gave up trying to sleep and made coffee instead. She sat at her small kitchen table, scrolling through news articles on her phone. Most of it was noise, political scandals, celebrity gossip, sports scores, nothing that mattered. Then she saw it. Former officer Daniel Hayes released on bond following assault charge. Lena's stomach dropped. She clicked the article. Hayes had been arrested 3 days ago for assaulting a bartender at a local dive. The bartender had asked him to leave after he'd gotten belligerent with other customers. Hayes had responded by throwing a glass at the man's head, then swinging at him when he tried to intervene. The fight had spilled into the parking lot. It took 3 people to pull Hayes off. The article mentioned his recent termination from the police force, mentioned the incident at Langford General, mentioned Lena's name. She set her phone down and stared at the wall. Hayes was spiraling, and she was at the center of it. Her phone buzzed again. Major Crane, saw the news. We're monitoring the situation. Hayes violated his release conditions by making contact attempts. Warrant issued. He'll be back in custody soon. Lena typed a response with shaking hands. Lena, how soon? Major Crane, could be hours, could be days. Depends if he's smart enough to stay off the grid. But we've got eyes on his known associates. He won't get far. Lena, and if he comes here? Major Crane, then you call 911 first, me second, and you don't open the door. Lena set her phone down and walked to her bedroom. She opened the closet and pulled out a locked case from the top shelf. Inside was a Glock 19. She'd kept it since her military days. Hadn't fired it in years. But she still remembered how. She loaded the magazine, chambered around, and set it on her nightstand. Then she lay down on top of the covers, fully dressed, and waited for morning. The next 48 hours passed in tense silence. Lena went to work, came home, checked her locks, scanned the parking lot. Nothing happened, but the unease stayed. On the 3rd day, she got another message. Captain Ruiz, have you thought about the offer? Lena stared at the message. Then she typed a response. Lena, yes. Captain Ruiz. And? Lena, I'm in. Captain Ruiz, good. I'll send the paperwork. Welcome to the team. Lena set her phone down. She felt lighter and heavier all at once. That night she wrote her resignation letter. It was short, professional, no explanation, just a 2-week notice. She submitted it the next morning. Dr. Holt called her into the office an hour later. You're leaving? Yes. Can I ask why? Personal reasons. Holt's face tightened. This is about the Hayes incident, isn't it? No. Lena, if you're feeling pressured, I'm not. I'm making a choice. Holt leaned back in her chair. What are you going to do? Contract work, medical consulting. For who? I can't say. Holt's eyes narrowed. Military? Lena didn't answer. Holt sighed. Fine. We'll process your resignation. But I want you to know you're one of the best nurses we have. Losing you is a mistake. Then maybe you should have treated me like it. Holt blinked. Excuse me? You heard me. Lena stood and walked out. The next 2 weeks were strange. Lena worked her shifts, but she felt like a ghost. People avoided her. Conversation stopped when she entered a room. The few nurses who had been friendly before now kept their distance. She didn't care. On her last day, she cleaned out her locker, turned in her badge, and walked out without saying goodbye. The parking lot was quiet. The sun was setting. Lena stood by her car for a moment, looking back at the hospital. 6 years. 6 years of night shifts and trauma cases and saving lives. And all it took was one incident for everything to fall apart. She got in her car and drove away. 3 days later, she reported to the JSOC facility for orientation. The building was nondescript, gray concrete, no signage, surrounded by a chain-link fence. Lena showed her ID at the gate. A guard checked her credentials, made a call, and waved her through. Inside, the facility was all business. Sterile hallways, security checkpoints, people in tactical gear moving with purpose. Captain Ruiz met her at the entrance. Lena, good to see you. She nodded. Where do I start? Follow me. He led her through the building, explaining the layout. Medical wing, tactical briefing rooms, equipment storage, training facilities. Everything was state-of-the-art. Nothing like the outdated ER she'd just left. You'll be assigned to a rapid response team, Ruiz said. 4 operators, 1 medic. You're the medic. You'll train together, deploy together, operate together. How often? Depends. Could be once a week, could be every day. You'll be on call, but you'll have downtime between deployments. Lena nodded. They stopped at a door marked Medical Operations. Ruiz opened it and gestured inside. The room was full of equipment, field kits, monitors, surgical tools, everything she could need. This is your workspace, Ruiz said. You'll prep here, restock here, and debrief here after missions. Lena walked inside, running her fingers over the equipment. It was good. Better than good. When do I meet the team? She asked. Right now. Ruiz led her to a briefing room. 4 people were already inside. 3 men, 1 woman, all in tactical gear. Lieutenant Whitaker, meet your team. They turned. The first was a big guy, probably 6'3", 220, with a shaved head and a scar running down his jaw. He nodded at her. Sergeant Marcus Ford, breacher. The second was leaner, dark-skinned, with sharp eyes and a cautious smile. Corporal David Kim, entry specialist. The third was older, maybe 45 man, with gray at his temples and the look of someone who'd seen too much. Staff Sergeant Leon Grant, team leader. And the fourth was a woman, young, maybe 30, short dark hair, sharp eyes, and a face Lena recognized. Officer Ramos. No, not Ramos anymore. Agent Sofia Ramos. Lena froze. Ramos's eyes widened. Lena? Ruiz looked between them. You two know each other? Lena's jaw tightened. Yeah, we've met. Ramos stepped forward. I didn't know you were joining the team. Clearly. Ruiz frowned. Is this going to be a problem? Lena looked at Ramos, the woman who'd stood by and watched Hayes try to arrest her. The woman who'd done nothing until it was too late, and now she was supposed to trust her with her life. Ramos met her eyes. I know what you're thinking, but I'm not the same person I was that night. Prove it. Silence hung in the room like smoke. Grant cleared his throat. We can sort this out later. Right now we have a briefing. Sit down. Lena sat, but her eyes never left Ramos. Ruiz pulled up a screen. A map of the city appeared, marked with red zones. We've got credible intel on a potential hostage situation. Warehouse district. 3 suspects. Unknown number of hostages. Local PD requested our support. When? Grant asked. 40 minutes. Gear up. We roll in 20. The team stood. Lena followed them to the equipment room. She strapped on a vest, loaded her medical kit, checked her supplies. Muscle memory from a life she'd left behind. Except now it was coming back. Ford glanced at her. You done this before? Yeah, ich das. Good. Stick close, do your job. We'll do ours. Lena nodded. They loaded into an armored van. Grant took the driver's seat. Kim rode shotgun. Ford, Ramos, and Lena sat in the back. The ride was quiet, tense. Lena could feel Ramos watching her. Finally, Ramos spoke. I tried to reach out after everything happened. You didn't respond. I had nothing to say. I wanted to apologize. You had your chance. You didn't take it. Ramos looked away. I was scared. Of what? Of Hayes, of losing my job, of making things worse. Lena's voice was cold. So you let him cuff me instead. I know, and I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't mean anything. Then what do you want from me? Lena turned to her. I want you to do your job, and stay out of my way. Ramos nodded slowly. Fair enough. The van pulled to a stop 3 blocks from the warehouse. They got out, moving quickly and quietly. Grant led them through an alley, using hand signals to communicate. Lena stayed close to Ford, her medical bag slung across her back. They reached the warehouse. Grant signaled a stop. Kim moved to the door, checking for traps. Clear. Grant's voice was low. Ramos, Kim, take the east entrance. Ford, Whitaker, with me. We go in quiet. No shots unless necessary. They split up. Lena followed Grant and Ford through a side door. The warehouse was dark. Rows of crates stretched into shadows. Somewhere in the distance, she heard voices, shouting. Grant raised his hand. Stop! They crouched behind a stack of pallets. Lena peered around the edge. 3 men stood in the center of the warehouse. 2 held rifles. The third had a handgun pressed against a woman's head. She was crying, pleading. Lena's stomach twisted. Grant's voice came through the comms. We've got eyes on 3 suspects. 1 hostage, female, late 20s, weapon to her head. Ruiz's voice crackled back. Rules of engagement. Non-lethal if possible, but if he moves on that hostage, we drop him. Copy. Grant signaled Ford. They moved closer, staying low. Lena followed. The man with the handgun was talking. I'm not going back to prison. You hear me? I'm not going back. The woman sobbed. Please, please don't hurt me. Shut up. Ford raised his rifle. Grant did the same. And then everything went wrong. One of the other men saw them. He shouted, swung his rifle around. Ford fired. The man dropped. The third man opened fire. Bullets tore through the air. Lena hit the ground, heart hammering. Grant returned fire. The third man went down. But the man with the hostage didn't drop his weapon. He pressed it harder against the woman's temple. Back off. Back the hell off, or I kill her. Grant froze. Don't do this. I said back off. Lena's mind raced. The angle was bad. Grant and Ford couldn't get a clean shot without risking the hostage. But Ramos could. Lena looked across the warehouse. Ramos was crouched on a catwalk above, rifle raised. She had a clear line of sight. Lena grabbed her radio. Ramos, you've got the shot. Silence. Ramos, I can't. If I miss, you won't miss. Take the shot. Lena, take the damn shot. The man's finger tightened on the trigger, and Ramos fired. The man dropped. The hostage screamed, stumbling forward. Grant rushed in, pulling her to safety. Lena ran to the hostage, checking her for injuries. No gunshot wounds. Just terror. You're okay, Lena said. You're okay. The woman collapsed into her arms, sobbing. Lena looked up at the catwalk. Ramos was still there, rifle lowered, staring at the man she'd just killed. Grant's voice came through the comms. All clear. Hostage secure. 3 suspects down. Nice shot, Ramos. Ramos didn't respond. Lena stood, leaving the hostage with Ford, and climbed the catwalk stairs. Ramos was sitting against the railing, helmet off, face pale. You did good, Lena said. Ramos looked at her. I almost didn't pull the trigger. But you did. Because you told me to. Lena crouched beside her. You saved her life. What if I'd missed? You didn't. Ramos's hands were shaking. Lena reached out, steadied them. First kill? Lena asked. Ramos nodded. It doesn't get easier, but it gets necessary. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Ramos spoke. I'm sorry for that night, for not standing up, for being a coward. Lena exhaled. You're not a coward. You were scared. There's a difference. Doesn't feel like it. It should. Lena stood. Come on, we've got a debrief. Ramos stood, putting her helmet back on. They climbed down together. As they walked back to the van, Grant clapped Ramos on the shoulder. Hell of a shot, kid. Ramos managed a weak smile. Ford looked at Lena. You good? Yeah, I'm good. They loaded into the van and drove back to base. But as they pulled into the facility, Lena's phone buzzed. A known number. You think you're safe now? You're not. I'm coming for you. Her blood went cold. She looked at the number. Different from before. Burner phone. But she knew who it was. Hayes. She showed the message to Grant. His expression darkened. We need to tell Ruiz. Now. They gathered in the briefing room. Ruiz read the message, his face grim. He's escalating, Ruiz said. This isn't just anger anymore. This is fixation. Crane's voice came through the speakerphone. I've got units searching for him, but he's off the grid. No credit card activity, no phone pings, nothing. Lena's hands clenched into fists. So what do we do? You stay here, Crane said. On base. 24/7 protection until we find him. I'm not hiding. You're not hiding. You're being smart. Lena wanted to argue, but she knew he was right. Fine. Crane hung up. Ruiz looked at the team. Ford, Kim, you're on rotation. Whitaker doesn't go anywhere without one of you. Ramos, Grant, your backup. We lock this place down until Hayes is in custody. They nodded. Lena sat down, staring at her phone. Hayes was out there, watching, waiting, and she had no idea when he'd strike. The facility felt like a cage. Lena had been confined to base for 3 days. 3 days of staring at the same gray walls. 3 days of checking her phone every 10 minutes. 3 days of Ford or Kim shadowing her every move like she was some kind of high-value prisoner instead of the person they were supposed to protect. She sat in the rec room pretending to read a book she wasn't absorbing. Ford was across the room, cleaning his rifle. He didn't look at her, but she knew he was watching. Always watching. Her phone buzzed. Major Crane. Still no movement on Hayes. He's smart, staying dark. But we've got surveillance on his ex-wife's house, his brother's place, and 3 bars he used to frequent. He'll surface. Lena typed back. Lena. When? Major Crane. Can't say, but you're safe where you are. Stay put. She wanted to throw the phone across the room. Instead, she set it down and closed her eyes. Ford spoke without looking up from his rifle. You ever think about just letting us handle this? Every minute, Lena said. But that doesn't make it easier. Nothing about this job is easy. I know. Ford finally looked at her. You did good out there, at the warehouse. Kept your head. That matters. Lena nodded. Thanks. Ramos, too. She's green, but she's learning. She hesitated. Everyone hesitates the first time. You didn't tell Grant about that, did you? No. Good. She'll get there. Just needs time. Lena stood. I'm going to the med bay. Check inventory. Ford stood too. I'll walk with you. I know the way. I know, but I'm walking with you anyway. They moved through the corridors in silence. The facility was quiet this time of day. Most of the teams were out on rotation. Only a skeleton crew remained. Admin staff, IT, a handful of support personnel. The med bay was empty. Lena walked to the supply cabinets and started counting inventory. Ford leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. You miss it? He asked. Miss what? The hospital, normal life. Lena pulled out a box of gauze, checked the count, and logged it. I don't know if I ever had a normal life. Fair point. She moved to the next cabinet. You ever think about getting out? Ford shrugged. Sometimes. But then I remember what I'd be getting out to. Civilian job. Mortgage. Weekends at Home Depot. I'd lose my mind. Some people like that. Some people aren't built for what we do. Lena paused. And you think I am? You're here, aren't you? She didn't have an answer for that. Her phone buzzed again. She pulled it out. Nona number. You can hide all you want. I'll find you. Her hands went cold. Ford saw her expression and moved closer. What is it? She showed him the screen. His jaw tightened. That's the same number? Different burner, but it's him. Ford pulled out his radio. Grant, we've got another message from Hayes, Whitaker's phone. Grant's voice came back immediately. Send it to Crane, now! Lena forwarded the message to Crane. Less than 30 seconds later, her phone rang. Whitaker, Crane said. That message came from a tower 3 miles from your location. Her stomach dropped. He knows where I am? Maybe. Or he's fishing. Either way, we're going to full lockdown. Nobody in or out without clearance. And you're moving to secure quarters. For how long? Until we have him in custody. Lena wanted to argue, but the fear in Crane's voice told her this wasn't up for debate. Okay. Crane hung up. Ford was already on his radio, calling for backup. Within minutes, Kim and Ramos appeared. Grant arrived last, his face grim. We're moving you to the East Wing, Grant said. Reinforced doors, no windows, 24-hour guard rotation. I'm not a prisoner, Lena said. No, but Hayes is escalating, and until we know his location, you're the most vulnerable person in this building. Lena looked at Ramos. The younger woman's face was pale, but her expression was determined. Let's go, Lena said. They moved through the facility in formation, Grant in front, Ford and Kim flanking, Ramos bringing up the rear. Lena walked in the center, feeling exposed even though she was surrounded. The east wing was isolated, a single corridor with 3 rooms. No windows. 1 entry point. Grant opened the door to the middle room. This is you, he said. Lena stepped inside. The room was small. A bed, a desk, a chair, a bathroom, nothing else. We'll be right outside, Grant said. Shift changes every 6 hours. You need anything, you let us know. Lena nodded. Grant closed the door. She heard the lock click. She sat on the bed and stared at the wall. This was what her life had become. Hiding, waiting, letting other people fight her battles. It made her sick. Hours passed. Lena tried to sleep but couldn't. Every sound in the hallway made her jump. Every footstep made her reach for the phone on the nightstand. At 11 p.m., someone knocked. It's Ramos, a voice called. I'm bringing dinner. Lena opened the door. Ramos stood there holding a tray with a sandwich and a bottle of water. Thanks, Lena said. Ramos hesitated. Can I come in? Lena stepped aside. Ramos entered and Lena closed the door behind her. You don't have to babysit me, Lena said. I'm not. I wanted to talk. About? Ramos sat in the chair. About the warehouse. About what you said to me. Lena sat on the bed. What about it? You trusted me to take that shot, even after everything. You had the angle. It wasn't about trust. It was about the job. Ramos shook her head. It was about trust. You could have told Grant I hesitated. You could have had me pulled from the team, but you didn't. You saved that woman's life. That's what matters. But I almost didn't, and that scares me. Lena leaned forward. Listen to me. Hesitation isn't weakness. It's humanity. The day you stop hesitating is the day you become dangerous. Not to the enemy, to yourself. Ramos looked at her. How do you do it? Stay calm, even when everything's falling apart. Lena smiled bitterly. You think I'm calm? I'm terrified every single day, but I learned a long time ago that fear doesn't go away. You just get better at hiding it. That's not reassuring. It's not supposed to be. It's the truth. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Ramos spoke. I looked up your record after the Hayes thing. You have 2 silver stars, a bronze star, 3 purple hearts. Lena's expression didn't change. And I don't understand how someone with that kind of record ends up getting treated like a criminal by some asshole cop. Because medals don't matter in the real world. Only rank, only authority. And I didn't have either when Hayes showed up. That's bullshit. Yeah, it is. Ramos stood. For what it's worth, I think Hayes is an idiot, and I think you're one of the toughest people I've ever met. Lena looked at her. Thanks. Ramos walked to the door, then paused. We're going to find him, and when we do, he's going to regret ever coming after you. I don't need revenge. Maybe not, but you deserve it. Ramos left. Lena sat alone in the silence. She picked at the sandwich but couldn't eat. Her mind was racing. Hayes was out there, close, and she was stuck in this room, waiting for someone else to solve her problem. It was unbearable. At 2 a.m., her phone buzzed. Unknown number. You think walls will keep me out? Lena's heart hammered. She grabbed the phone and ran to the door, pounding on it. Ford, open up! The lock clicked. Ford appeared, rifle raised. What happened? She showed him the message. His face went dark. Get back inside. Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone except me or Grant. What are you going to do? Sweep the perimeter. If he's here, we'll find him. Ford disappeared down the hallway. Lena locked the door and backed away from it. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I can hear your heart beating. She threw the phone across the room. Then she grabbed the chair, wedged it under the door handle, and pulled the Glock from her bag. She'd brought it with her when she moved to base, against protocol. But she didn't care. She sat on the bed, gun in hand, and waited. Minutes dragged into hours. No sound from the hallway, no footsteps, nothing. At 4 a.m., someone knocked. "Whitaker, it's Grant. Open up." Lena moved to the door. "How do I know it's you?" "Because I'm the one who told you about the scar on my left shoulder, the one I got in Kandahar when a kid threw a grenade at our convoy, and I was dumb enough to try to throw it back." Lena remembered. She'd seen the scar during a training exercise. She unlocked the door. Grant stood there, his face tight. Behind him were Ford and Kim. "We swept the entire facility," Grant said. "No sign of Hayes, but we found something." "What?" "A phone, taped under a bench in the rec room. It was sending automated messages to your number on a timer." Lena's stomach twisted. "So he's not here?" "No, but he was. At some point he got inside and planted that phone. How?" Grant's expression darkened. "We're reviewing security footage now, but someone let him in, or he found a way to bypass the gate." Lena felt the walls closing in. "He's playing with me." "Yeah, and he's good at it." Ford stepped forward. "We're moving you again, somewhere off-site, somewhere he can't track." "Where?" "Safe house, 2 hours north, remote, secure. We'll have a full team with you." Lena wanted to argue, but she was out of options. "Fine." They moved within the hour. Lena grabbed her bag, her gun, and followed the team to an armored vehicle in the underground garage. Grant drove. Ford rode shotgun. Kim and Ramos sat in the back with Lena. The drive was silent, tense. Every car that passed made Lena's pulse spike. Every shadow made her hand drift toward her weapon. The safe house was exactly what Grant had described. A cabin in the woods, surrounded by trees, miles from the nearest town. It had reinforced doors, bulletproof windows, and a generator in case the power went out. Inside, the team did a full sweep. Clear. Grant set up a perimeter. Kim took first watch. Ford checked the security cameras. Ramos stayed with Lena. "You okay?" Ramos asked. Lena sat on the couch, staring at the wall. "No. Fair. This isn't how it's supposed to go. I'm supposed to be the one saving people, not the one being saved. Sometimes you don't get to choose. Lena looked at her. "You sound like you've been there." "I have, different circumstances, but yeah, I know what it's like to feel helpless." "What happened?" Ramos hesitated. "My first year on the force, I responded to a domestic. Guy had his wife locked in the bathroom. She was screaming, begging. I tried to talk him down. He pulled a gun, shot at me, missed, but my partner didn't, dropped him right there. And I froze. I had my weapon drawn, but I couldn't pull the trigger. My partner saved my life, and I felt like a coward." "You're not a coward." "I know that now, but it took a long time to believe it." Lena nodded. "That's why you hesitated at the warehouse." "Yeah." "And that's why you pulled the trigger." Ramos smiled faintly. "Yeah." They sat in silence. Then Lena's phone rang. Not a text. A call. Unknown number. Her hand shook as she answered. "What do you want?" Hayes' voice was calm, too calm. "I want you to understand something." "Understand what?" "That you ruined my life. And now I'm going to ruin yours. You ruined your own life." Hayes laughed. "You think hiding in the woods is going to save you? I've been tracking you since you left the city. I know where you are." Lena's blood went cold. "You're lying." "Am I? Look out the window." Lena stood, moving to the window. She pulled back the curtain. Nothing. Just trees and darkness. "I don't see anything," she said. "Not yet." The line went dead. Lena turned to Ramos. "He knows we're here." Ramos grabbed her radio. "Grant, we've got a problem." Before Grant could respond, the lights went out. The generator kicked in after 3 seconds, but the damage was done. Hayes had cut the main power. Ford's voice came through the radio. "Kim, report." Silence. "Kim!" Still nothing. Grant burst through the door, rifle raised. "He's here. Perimeter's compromised. Kim's not responding." Lena grabbed her gun. "What do we do?" We hold this position. Ford, cover the east side. Ramos, west. I've got north. Whitaker, you stay in the center. Do not move unless I tell you to. They scattered. Lena stood in the middle of the room, gun raised, heart hammering. A window shattered. Ramos fired. 3 shots. Then silence. Target down, Ramos shouted. But it wasn't Hayes. It was a deer, panicked by the noise, crashing through the woods. Damn it, Ramos muttered. Then the front door exploded. Not literally, but the force of someone kicking it in was enough to send splinters flying. Hayes stepped inside. He was wearing tactical gear, body armor, night vision goggles, and he was holding an AR-15. Grant fired first. Hayes ducked behind a wall, returning fire. Bullets tore through the cabin. Lena hit the floor, crawling toward the kitchen. Ford appeared from the hallway, firing at Hayes. Hayes pivoted, shooting back. Ford took her round to the vest, stumbling backward. Ford, Lena shouted. I'm good. Stay down. Hayes advanced, reloading. His voice was cold. Where is she? Grant tackled him from the side. They went down hard, grappling. Grant got a hand on Hayes' rifle, trying to wrench it away. Hayes headbutted him, breaking Grant's nose. Blood sprayed. Ramos appeared, firing. Hayes rolled, using Grant as a shield. Ramos held her fire. Hayes threw Grant off and brought the rifle up. Lena didn't think. She just moved. She fired 3 rounds center mass. Hayes staggered. His armor caught 2 of the rounds, but the third hit him in the shoulder, spinning him around. He dropped the rifle. Lena stood, gun trained on him. Hayes looked at her, blood seeping through his gear. You think this is over? Yeah, I do. Grant grabbed Hayes, slamming him face first into the floor. Ford zip-tied his hands. Ramos kicked the rifle away. Lena lowered her gun. It was over. Except it wasn't. Because as Grant hauled Hayes to his feet, Hayes smiled. You really think I came alone? Lena's stomach dropped, and then the windows exploded. Not from gunfire, from grenades, flashbangs. The world went white. Sound turned to ringing. Lena hit the ground, blind and deaf. When her vision cleared, Hayes was gone. So was Kim. And standing in the doorway, rifle raised, was someone Lena recognized. Dr. Marianne Holt. Lena's ears were still ringing, but her vision cleared enough to focus on the woman in the doorway. Dr. Marianne Holt stood there in tactical gear that looked too new, too clean. The rifle in her hands trembled slightly. Behind her, Hayes was being dragged toward a black SUV by 2 men Lena didn't recognize. Kim was unconscious, slung over one man's shoulder. Grant lunged forward, but Holt fired a round into the ceiling. Don't, she said. Her voice was shaking, not with fear, with something else. Adrenaline, maybe, or guilt. Grant froze, hands raised. Ford was still on the ground, groaning, trying to get his bearings. Ramos had her weapon up, but no clear shot. Lena stayed low, gun hidden behind her leg. Marianne, Lena said quietly. What are you doing? Holt's eyes flicked to her. What I should have done 6 years ago. Which is? Getting rid of the problem. Lena's mind raced. 6 years. That was when she'd started at Langford General, when Holt had been her supervisor, when everything had seemed normal. I was never the problem, Lena said. You were always the problem. Holt's voice cracked. You and your clearances and your secrets. You made everything complicated. Complicated how? Holt laughed bitterly. You really don't know, do you? Know what? Hayes wasn't working alone that night. He was supposed to find something in those supply boxes, something we needed. But you wouldn't open them. You wouldn't break protocol. Lena's stomach turned. You set me up. We needed those medical kits, specific items, controlled substances, things that don't show up on normal audits. Holt's hands tightened on the rifle. Hayes was supposed to force you to open them, search them, give us what we needed. But you called in the military instead. So this was about drugs, about money, about survival. Holt's face twisted. Do you know how much hospitals pay administrators? How much debt I had? My ex-husband cleaned me out. My daughter's medical bills were drowning me. I needed a way out. Grant's voice was cold. So you sold hospital supplies on the black market. Holt didn't deny it. Controlled painkillers, surgical equipment, things people pay top dollar for. And it worked. For years it worked. Small amounts. Nothing anyone would notice. Until she showed up. Lena understood now. I wasn't supposed to have military clearance. I was supposed to be just another nurse. Exactly. But you had protocols, chains of custody, oversight. You ruined everything. Hayes ruined everything, Lena said. He escalated. He got caught. Because of you, Ramos spoke from the side. Drop the weapon, Dr. Holt. This doesn't end well for you. Holt swung the rifle toward her. You think I care? I've lost everything already. My job, my reputation. The federal investigation started 2 weeks ago. They're coming for me. For all of us. Who's all of us? Grant asked. Holt smiled. You'll find out soon enough. She backed toward the door. Lena shifted her weight, bringing her gun up slowly. Don't, Holt said, catching the movement. I will shoot you. Then shoot me. Holt hesitated. Just for a second. That was all Lena needed. She fired. Not at Holt. At the rifle. The round struck the weapon's receiver, shattering the bolt mechanism. The rifle jerked out of Holt's hands, clattering to the floor. Grant tackled her before she could run. Outside, tires squealed. The SUV carrying Hayes and Kim roared away into the darkness. Ford stumbled to his feet, grabbing his radio. All units, we have a hostage situation. Agent Kim has been taken. Suspect vehicle heading south on Route 17. Black SUV, no plates visible. Ruiz's voice came back. Copy. We're scrambling air support. ETA, 10 minutes. Grant hauled Holt to her feet, zip-tying her hands. Where are they taking Kim? Holt said nothing. Grant grabbed her by the collar. Where? I don't know. Bullshit. I swear, Hayes didn't tell me. He just said he needed leverage. Lena stepped closer. Leverage for what? Holt looked at her, and for the first time there was genuine fear in her eyes. For you. He's going to trade Kim's life for yours. The words hit like a punch. Grant released Holt, shoving her toward Ramos. Secure her. Forward with me. We're going after that SUV. Wait, Lena said. If Hayes wants me, we use that. Grant turned. Absolutely not. He won't kill Kim if he thinks he can get me instead. We have time. We don't know that. Yes, we do. Hayes is fixated. He doesn't want revenge on Kim. He wants it on me. Ford shook his head. That's exactly why you're not going anywhere near him. Then Kim dies. Silence. Ramos spoke up. She's right. If we chase them blind, Hayes will panic. He'll kill Kim and disappear. But if Lena offers herself, we control the situation. Grant's jaw clenched. I'm not using you as bait. You're not, Lena said. I'm volunteering. Grant looked at her for a long moment. Then he grabbed his radio. Ruiz, we need to set up a controlled exchange. Hayes wants Whitaker. We're going to give her to him. Negative, Ruiz said immediately. That's not happening. It's the only way to get Kim back alive. Ruiz's voice was sharp. And if Hayes kills them both? He won't, Lena said, taking the radio from Grant. Because he wants me to suffer first. He wants to make me watch. That gives us time. A long pause. Fine, Ruiz said. But we do this my way. Full tactical support, snipers, drones. The second we have a shot, we take it. Agreed. And Whitaker? Yeah? Don't do anything stupid. Lena handed the radio back to Grant. When have I ever? 20 minutes later, they were back in the armored vehicle, racing toward the city. Holt sat in the back, hands still bound, staring at nothing. Lena sat across from her. Why did you help him? Lena asked. Holt didn't look up. I didn't help him. He found me. After the investigation started. He knew I was connected to the supply thefts. He threatened to turn me in unless I helped him get to you. So you became an accessory to kidnapping and attempted murder. I didn't have a choice. Everyone has a choice. Holt finally looked at her. You wouldn't understand. You've never been desperate. Lena leaned forward. I've been plenty desperate. I just didn't sell out innocent people to save myself. Holt looked away. Grant's voice came from the front. We're getting a location. Hayes just made contact. Lena moved to the front. Where? Old rail yard on the east side. He says he'll release Kim if you show up alone. I'm going. Not alone, you're not. He'll see the backup. Let him. We're not sending you in unprotected. They arrived at the rail yard 30 minutes later. It was exactly the kind of place Hayes would choose. Sprawling, full of blind spots, dozens of rusted freight cars offering cover. The perfect place for an ambush. Ruiz was already there with a full tactical team. Snipers were positioned on rooftops. Drones circled overhead. An ambulance waited on standby. Lena stepped out of the vehicle. Ruiz approached, his face grim. He's in the center of the yard, Ruiz said. Freight car number 47. Kim's with him. Still alive, but injured. Looks like a head wound. How many men does he have? We've identified 4, including Hayes, all armed, all with body armor. Lena nodded. What's the plan? You walk in. Keep him talking. We move in from 3 sides. When you're clear, we drop them. And if I'm not clear? Ruiz met her eyes. Then we wait for an opening. Lena took a breath. Okay. Ramos stepped forward. I'm coming with you. No. I'm not asking. Ramos, you saved my life at the warehouse. Now I'm returning the favor. Lena wanted to argue, but the look in Ramos's eyes told her it would be useless. Fine, but you stay behind me. They moved into the rail yard on foot. The moon was high, casting long shadows across the rusted metal. Lena's boots crunched on gravel. Her hand rested on her holstered weapon, but she didn't draw it. Not yet. They reached freight car 47. The door was open. Inside, Kim sat slumped against the wall, blood matting his hair. Hayes stood over him, a pistol in his hand. Lena Whitaker, Hayes said. Took you long enough. Lena stopped at the entrance. Let him go. Not until we talk. We're talking now. Hayes gestured to Kim. He's alive for now, but that can change. What do you want? I want you to admit it. Admit what? That you destroyed my life on purpose, that you set me up. Lena stared at him. I didn't set you up. You did that yourself. Hayes' face twisted. I was a good cop, 20 years on the force, never had a complaint, never had a bad shoot, and then you showed up and suddenly I'm the bad guy. You tried to arrest me without cause. You escalated without investigating. That's on you. I was doing my job. No, you were flexing, and when you got called out for it, you couldn't handle it. Hayes raised the gun, pointing it at Kim's head. Shut up. Lena took a step forward. You want to shoot someone? Shoot me. But let him go first. Why would I do that? Because he's not the one you're angry at. I am. Hayes' hand trembled. You think I won't? I think you're scared. I think you know this doesn't end well for you, and I think you're looking for a way out. There is no way out. There's always a way out. Hayes laughed bitterly. Not for me. I lost everything. My job, my pension, my reputation. My wife left me. My kids won't talk to me. I'm done. Then why drag Kim into this? Because I needed you to feel what I felt. Helpless, powerless. Lena took another step. I already know what that feels like. Bullshit. You think I haven't lost things? I've lost friends, brothers, sisters, people I couldn't save, people who died because I wasn't fast enough or good enough. Her voice cracked. So yeah, I know exactly what you're feeling, but I didn't take it out on innocent people. Hayes stared at her. Put the gun down, Lena said softly. This doesn't have to get worse. For a moment, Hayes looked like he might. His hand lowered slightly, his eyes softened, and then one of his men appeared in the doorway behind Lena. Boss, we've got movement. Tactical teams closing in. Hayes' face hardened. He raised the gun again. You brought backup. Of course I did. You lied. I didn't lie. I just didn't come alone. Neither did you. Hayes pressed the gun against Kim's temple. Call them off. I can't. Call them off or I kill him. Lena raised her hands. Okay, just don't. The gunshot was deafening. But it didn't come from Hayes. It came from outside. One of Hayes's men dropped, blood spraying from his chest. The sniper had taken the shot. Hayes whipped around, firing wildly. Ramos shoved Lena to the ground, returning fire. Kim rolled away from Hayes, clutching his head. Lena drew her weapon and fired at Hayes. He ducked behind a steel beam. The rail yard erupted. Gunfire echoed from every direction. Hayes's remaining men scattered, trying to find cover. Tactical teams swarmed in, moving with precision. Lena crawled to Kim. "Can you move?" He nodded weakly. "Yeah." She pulled him toward the door. Ramos covered them, firing controlled bursts. Hayes appeared from behind the beam, gun raised. Lena didn't hesitate. She fired 3 rounds center mass. Hayes stumbled, fell, didn't get up. Ramos checked him. "He's down, no pulse." Lena helped Kim to his feet. "Come on." They stumbled out of the freight car. Medics rushed forward, taking Kim from her. Grant appeared, rifle lowered. "Clear!" he shouted. Ruiz's voice came through the radio. "All targets neutralized. Secure the scene." Lena leaned against the freight car, breathing hard. It was over. Hayes was dead. Kim was alive. And the people who'd helped Hayes were in custody. But the weight didn't lift, because as the adrenaline faded, Lena realized something. This wasn't justice. This was survival. And she'd been surviving for too long. The next morning, Lena sat in a federal interrogation room. Across from her were 2 FBI agents. One was older, gray-haired, with a face that had seen too many cases like this. The other was younger, sharper, taking notes on a tablet. "We've reviewed the evidence," the older agent said. "Dr. Holt has confessed to her involvement in the supply theft ring. She's also given us names: 5 other people at Langford General, 3 outside distributors, and 2 police officers who helped cover it up." Lena nodded. "Hayes?" "Hayes was a true believer. He thought Holt was innocent. Thought you were the problem. When the investigation started, Holt convinced him you were the reason he got fired. Fed his anger. Used him. She used him to get to me. Exactly. She knew he'd escalate. Knew he'd do something stupid. She just didn't expect him to go this far." The younger agent looked up. "For what it's worth, we don't think you did anything wrong. You followed protocol. You defended yourself. Hayes' death was justified." Lena said nothing. The older agent leaned forward. "But there's a problem." "What kind of problem?" "Public perception. The media's already spinning this. Rogue cop, corrupt hospital administrator, military cover-up. It's a mess." "What do you want from me?" "A statement, on record, explaining what happened." Lena shook her head. "I'm not doing press conferences. We're not asking you to. Just a deposition. Something we can use to shut down the conspiracy theories." Lena thought about it, then nodded. "Fine." The deposition took 6 hours. Lena walked them through everything. The night Hayes tried to arrest her. The messages, the safe house, the rail yard. She left nothing out. When it was over, the older agent shook her hand. "Thank you. This helps." Lena left the building and stepped into the sunlight. Captain Ruiz was waiting by his car. "How'd it go?" he asked. "Long?" "I bet." He opened the passenger door. "Come on, I'll buy you a drink." They ended up at a bar downtown. Quiet. Dark. The kind of place where nobody asked questions. Ruiz ordered whiskey. Lena ordered coffee. "You don't drink?" Ruiz asked. "Not anymore." "Smart." They sat in silence for a while, then Ruiz spoke. "The team wants you to stay." Lena looked at him. "I haven't decided yet." "What's there to decide? You're good at this." "Better than good." "That's not the point." "Then what is?" Lena stared into her coffee. "I joined the military to help people. I became a nurse for the same reason. But lately all I've been doing is fighting." "Sometimes fighting is helping." "Maybe. But I'm tired." Ruiz nodded slowly. "I get it. But for what it's worth, you saved Kim's life, and Ramos, and probably a lot of other people who'll never know it. That's not enough." "It never is." Lena finished her coffee and stood. Thanks for the drink. Where are you going? Home. I need to think. Ruiz didn't argue. Lena walked back to her apartment. The building was quiet, peaceful. She unlocked the door and stepped inside. The place felt empty, sterile, like it belonged to someone else. She sat on the couch and stared at the wall. Her phone buzzed. A text from Ford. Kim's awake, asking for you. Lena grabbed her jacket and headed back out. The hospital was 10 minutes away. She parked in the visitor lot and took the elevator to the 4th floor. Kim was in a private room, bandages wrapped around his head. Ford sat in a chair by the window. Hey, Kim said when he saw her. His voice was rough. Hey yourself, Lena said. How's the head? Hurts like hell, but the doc says I'll live. Good. Kim looked at her for a long moment. You saved my life. You would have done the same. Maybe, but I didn't have to. He paused. Thank you. Lena nodded. Just doing my job. Still. Ford stood. I'm going to grab coffee. You two want anything? They both shook their heads. Ford left. Kim shifted in the bed. I heard what happened at the rail yard. Hayes is dead. Yeah. How do you feel about it? Lena sat in the chair Ford had vacated. I don't know. He was sick, broken, but he made his choices. You think he deserved it? I think he forced the outcome. We gave him options. He didn't take them. Kim nodded. For what it's worth, I don't think you had a choice either. There's always a choice. Not always. Lena looked at him. You're taking this better than I expected. Kim smiled weakly. I've been through worse. ED in Afghanistan took my hearing for 6 months. This is nothing. Still nothing. You did what you had to do. That's the job. Lena stood. Get some rest. I'll check on you tomorrow. Lena? She turned. Don't leave the team. We need you. She didn't answer, just walked out. The next 72 hours were a blur of debriefings and paperwork. The FBI wrapped up their investigation. Holt was formally charged with conspiracy, theft, and accessory to kidnapping. The other members of the ring were arrested. The media ran with the story for 3 days, then moved on to the next scandal. Lena stayed at the JSOC facility, avoiding reporters and keeping her head down. On the 4th day, Major Crane called her into his office. Sit, he said. She sat. Crane leaned back in his chair. I've been reviewing your file. Your performance over the past few weeks has been exceptional. You handled a hostile situation with minimal backup. You negotiated under pressure. You made the right call when it mattered. Thank you, sir. But I'm also seeing something else. Lena waited. You're burned out, Crane said. You've been running on adrenaline for weeks, maybe longer, and that's not sustainable. I'm fine. No, you're not, and that's okay, but I need to know if you're going to stay with this team or if you need to step back. Lena looked at him. What do you want me to say? I want you to be honest. She took a breath. I don't know if I can keep doing this. Crane nodded. Then don't. What? Take a leave, 6 months, a year, however long you need. Your position will be here when you're ready. Lena blinked. You're not kicking me out? No, I'm giving you space. You've earned it. She didn't know what to say. Crane stood, extending his hand. Take care of yourself, Whitaker. That's an order. She shook his hand. Yes, sir. Lena left the office and walked to the parking lot. She sat in her car for 20 minutes, staring at nothing. Then she started the engine and drove. She didn't know where she was going, just away from the facility, away from the city, away from everything. She drove for 3 hours, stopping at a small town she'd never heard of. There was a diner on the main street. She went inside, ordered breakfast even though it was 2 p.m., and sat in a booth by the window. The waitress was older, friendly. You passing through? Yeah, Lena said. Where are you headed? Not sure yet. The waitress smiled. Best kind of trip. Lena ate in silence. The food was good, simple, real. When she finished, she paid and walked outside. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. We need to meet. Lena's blood went cold. She typed back. Lena, who is this? 3 dots appeared. Unknown number. Someone who knows what really happened at Langford General and why Holt wasn't working alone. Lena stared at the screen. Lena, what do you mean? Unknown. Number. Meet me at Sullivan's Diner. Tomorrow. Noon. Come alone. Lena, why should I trust you? Unknown number. Because if you don't, a lot more people are going to die. The message ended. Lena stood on the sidewalk, heart hammering. Hayes was dead. Holt was in custody. The ring was broken. But someone else was still out there. Someone who knew too much. And they wanted to talk. She got back in her car and drove toward the city. Because even when she tried to walk away, the job found her. It always did. Sullivan's Diner looked the same as it had weeks ago. Same vinyl booths, same checkered floor, same jukebox that didn't work. Lena arrived 15 minutes early. She scanned the room, only a handful of customers. None of them looked threatening. She sat in the corner booth, back to the wall, and waited. At exactly noon, a woman walked in. She was in her 40s, well-dressed, with sharp eyes and a confident stride. She spotted Lena immediately and walked over. Lieutenant Whitaker, she said. Who are you? The woman sat down. My name is Rachel Voss. I'm an investigative journalist, and I've been following the Langford General case for 3 years. Lena's jaw tightened. I'm not talking to the press. I'm not here for a story. I'm here to warn you. About what? Voss pulled out a tablet, setting it on the table. Holt wasn't the ringleader. She was middle management. The real operation is bigger, much bigger. Lena looked at the tablet. It showed financial records, wire transfers, shell companies. What am I looking at? Lena asked. A network. Hospitals across 6 states, all running the same scheme. Controlled substances, surgical equipment, even organs. Lena's stomach turned. Organs? Black market transplants, high-dollar clients. No questions asked. Voss swiped through more documents. Holt was just one piece. There are 12 other administrators involved. Maybe more. Why are you telling me this? Because they know you're the reason Holt got caught, and they're not happy about it. Lena leaned back. So what, they're coming after me now? Not yet, but they will, unless you help me shut them down. I'm not an investigator. No, but you have access, clearances, resources, and you've already proven you can't be intimidated. Lena studied her. Why should I trust you? Voss met her eyes. Because 3 months ago, my sister died waiting for a kidney transplant. Turns out there was a kidney available, but it went to someone who could pay more. Someone who used this network. Silence. I'm sorry, Lena said. I don't want your sympathy. I want justice. Lena looked at the documents again. This is FBI territory. The FBI is already involved, but they're moving slow, cautious. By the time they build their case, more people will die. I need someone who can move faster. What do you want from me? Help me get inside. Use your military connections. Find evidence the FBI can't. Lena shook her head. I just took a leave. I'm done. Are you? Lena didn't answer. Voss slid a business card across the table. Think about it. But don't think too long. People are dying. She stood and walked out. Lena sat there, staring at the card. She'd wanted to walk away, to rest, to find some kind of normal life. But normal wasn't an option anymore. It never had been. She picked up the card, tucked it into her pocket, and left the diner. Outside, her phone buzzed again. Major Crane. Need to talk. Call me when you can. Lena called him. Whitaker, Crane said. Where are you? Sullivan's. Why? We just intercepted chatter. Someone put a contract out on you. Lena's blood went cold. Who? We don't know yet, but the price is high. 6 figures, professional hitters. When? Could be days, could be hours. You need to come back to base now. Lena looked around the parking lot. Nothing unusual, but that didn't mean anything. I'm on my way, she said. She hung up and started walking toward her car. And that's when she saw it. A black sedan, parked 3 spaces down, windows tinted, engine running. Lena's hand moved to her weapon. The sedan's door opened, and a man stepped out, holding a phone to his ear. He looked directly at her and smiled. Lena's hand was already on her weapon when the man raised both hands, showing his palms. "Easy," he said. "I'm not here to hurt you." "Then why are you here?" He gestured to his phone. "Because I was told to deliver a message, and I really don't want to get shot doing it." Lena didn't lower her gun. "What message?" "From Rachel Voss. She said you'd be suspicious. Said to tell you she's waiting at the north entrance, and that you need to move. Now." Lena's eyes flicked to the diner entrance. No sign of Voss. "Why didn't she tell me herself?" "Because she spotted the tail 30 seconds after she left. 2 guys in a gray Honda, still parked across the street." Lena glanced over. Sure enough, a gray Honda sat idling near the intersection, 2 silhouettes inside. "Who are you?" Lena asked. "Marcus Trent. I work with Voss, photographer, driver. Whatever she needs." "Prove it." He slowly reached into his jacket and pulled out a press credential. "Marcus Trent, freelance photojournalist." The photo matched. Lena lowered her weapon slightly. "Where is she?" "Loading dock behind the diner. She's got a car waiting. But those guys in the Honda? They're not alone. There's at least one more vehicle circling the block." Lena's pulse quickened. "How do you know?" "Because I've been tracking them since you walked in. Voss thought they might show." Guess she was right. Lena made a decision. "Lead the way." Trent moved quickly, cutting between buildings toward the rear of the diner. Lena followed, scanning for movement. They reached the loading dock. A white van sat with its engine running. Voss was in the driver's seat. "Get in," Voss said. Lena climbed into the passenger side. Trent got in the back. Voss pulled out before Lena could even close the door. "Seatbelt." Lena buckled in. "You said you were a journalist." "I am. Doesn't mean people don't want me dead." "Who's following us?" "Contractors. Hired muscle. They're not here to ask questions." Lena looked in the side mirror. The gray Honda had pulled out, trailing them 3 cars back. "How long have they been on you?" 2 weeks. Ever since I started asking the wrong people the right questions. About the organ trafficking, among other things. Voss took a hard left, cutting through an alley. Holt wasn't just moving painkillers. She was facilitating transplants for patients who couldn't get them legally. Kidneys, livers, hearts, all sourced from people who didn't have a choice. Lena's stomach turned. I mean people in desperate situations. Immigrants, addicts, homeless, people who'd disappear and nobody would notice. Voss's voice was hard. They'd offer them money. Sometimes they'd just take what they needed. That's murder. That's business. At least, that's how they see it. Trent spoke from the back. "Honda's still on us, and I've got a black SUV 2 blocks east. They're boxing us in." Voss cursed under her breath. She grabbed her phone, tossing it to Lena. "Call the number labeled Crane. Tell him we're heading to the industrial park on Marsh Street. We need backup." Lena dialed. Crane picked up immediately. "Whitaker, where are you?" "In a van with Rachel Voss. We've got hostiles in pursuit. She says we're heading to—" "I heard. Stay on the line. We're 5 minutes out." Voss took another turn, tires screeching. The Honda accelerated, closing the gap. The SUV appeared in the rear view, coming up fast. "They're not waiting for backup," Trent said. The Honda pulled alongside them. The passenger window rolled down. A man leaned out, raising a pistol. "Get down!" Lena shouted. Voss swerved hard right as the man fired. The bullet punched through the rear window, missing Trent by inches. He flattened against the floor. Lena pulled her weapon, leaning out her window. She fired 3 rounds at the Honda's front tire. The third one hit. The tire blew, sending the Honda into a spin. It crashed into a parked car. But the SUV was still coming. Voss floored it, weaving through traffic. The industrial park loomed ahead, rows of warehouses, most of them abandoned. She turned into the lot, heading for the far end. "What's the plan?" Lena asked. "Stay alive until your people show up." "That's not a plan." "It's the best I've got." The SUV rammed them from behind. The van lurched forward, fishtailing. Voss fought to keep control. Trent grabbed a camera bag from the floor, pulling out a flare gun. "This might help." "Or get us killed." Voss said. Better than nothing. He rolled down the back window and fired. The flare shot out, arcing toward the SUV's windshield. It struck dead center, exploding in a burst of red smoke. The SUV swerved, brakes screaming, but it didn't stop. Voss pulled into a warehouse loading bay and killed the engine. Out! Now! They scrambled out of the van, running into the building. It was dark inside, lit only by skylights overhead. Rows of crates stretched into shadows. Where are we going? Lena asked. Anywhere but here. Behind them, car doors slammed. Footsteps echoed. Voss led them deeper into the warehouse, ducking behind a stack of pallets. Lena crouched beside her, weapon raised. Trent stayed low, breathing hard. 4 men entered, all armed, all moving with precision. Spread out, one of them said. Find them. Lena counted the angles. 4 targets, 3 of them. The math wasn't good. Crane's voice came through her phone, barely a whisper. Whitaker, we're at the entrance. Where are you? Southwest corner. 4 hostiles inside. We're pinned. Copy. Moving in. Lena pocketed the phone. She looked at Voss. Can you shoot? Voss pulled a compact pistol from her jacket. Not well, but I can try. Good enough. Lena signaled Trent to stay put. Then she moved left, circling wide. Voss went right. One of the men appeared between the crates. Lena fired twice. He went down. The others opened fire, bullets tearing through wood and metal. Lena ducked, rolling behind a forklift. Voss fired from her position, hitting another man in the shoulder. He stumbled, but didn't drop. Then the warehouse doors burst open. Grant, Ford, and Ramos stormed in, rifles raised. They moved like a machine, clearing angles, dropping targets. The remaining 2 men tried to run. Ford cut one down. Ramos tackled the other, slamming him face first into the concrete. Silence. Grant approached Lena. You good? Yeah. He looked at Voss. You're the journalist. That's me. You're lucky we showed up. Luck had nothing to do with it. I've been planning this for months. Grant frowned. Planning what? Voss stood, brushing dust off her jacket. To expose the network. And now I've got the proof I need. She gestured to Trent, who was holding his camera. Every one of those men is on record. Faces, weapons, everything. And I've got documentation tying them to the trafficking ring. Lena looked at her. You set this up. I needed witnesses, credible ones, military, federal, people who couldn't be bought or silenced. Voss met her eyes. I needed you. Lena's jaw tightened. You used me. I gave you a choice. You made it. Grant stepped between them. This conversation can wait. Right now, we need to secure the scene and get statements from everyone. Ruiz arrived with a full team. Crime scene techs began documenting everything. The injured man Voss had shot was taken into custody. The bodies were photographed and tagged. Lena sat on a crate, watching it all unfold. Ramos approached, sitting beside her. You okay? Define okay. Fair point. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Ramos spoke. For what it's worth, I think you did the right thing, coming here, helping her. I didn't know I was helping her. I thought I was just staying alive. Sometimes that's the same thing. Lena looked at her. You're getting philosophical on me. Ramos smiled. Blame it on the concussion. Still not 100%. You shouldn't even be here. Neither should you, but here we are. Lena couldn't argue with that. 2 hours later, they were back at the JSOC facility. Voss and Trent were in separate interrogation rooms, giving statements to the FBI. The surviving gunman was in federal custody, already making deals. Major Crane called Lena into his office. Sit, he said. She sat. Crane rubbed his temples. Do you have any idea what kind of mess you just walked into? I'm getting a pretty good picture. The FBI's been building this case for 18 months, undercover agents, wiretaps, the whole operation, and you just blew it wide open in 2 hours. Is that a bad thing? Crane leaned back. Honestly, I don't know yet. On one hand, we've got hard evidence, video, photos, testimony. On the other hand, we've tipped off everyone in the network. They're going to scatter. So arrest them before they do. We're trying, but this thing is bigger than we thought. 12 hospitals, maybe more. Hundreds of people involved. Doctors, administrators, security, even some law enforcement. Lena felt sick. How deep does this go? Deep enough that the people running it have resources, money, influence. They're not going to go quietly. What about Voss? She's clean, stubborn as hell, but clean. Her documentation checks out. The FBI is going to use it. And the contract on me? Crane's expression darkened. Still active, but we've identified the source. A man named Victor Aldridge. He's a financier, runs shell companies for the network. Handles the money side. Where is he? That's the problem. He disappeared 6 hours ago. Private jet, no flight plan filed. We're tracking him, but it's going to take time. Lena stood. I'm done waiting. Whitaker? No. I'm done being the target. If Aldridge wants me dead, I'm going to find him first. Crane stood too. That's not how this works. Then change how it works. They stared at each other. Finally, Crane sighed. If I let you do this, you're going to follow my rules, full team support, constant communication. And the second I say pull back, you pull back. Agreed. I mean it, Lena. No cowboy nonsense. I'm a medic, not a cowboy. Crane almost smiled. Get out of my office. Lena left. She found Voss in the break room, drinking terrible coffee and looking exhausted. Hey, Lena said. Voss looked up. Hey yourself. Lena sat across from her. I'm sorry I said you used me. You were right, I did. Still, it wasn't fair. Voss shrugged. Fair doesn't get justice. Results do. Is that what you tell yourself? It's what I know. Voss set down her cup. My sister died because someone decided her life was worth less than money. I'm not going to let that happen to anyone else. Lena nodded slowly. What are you going to do now? Finish the story. Publish everything. Names, faces, crimes. Let the world see what these people did. They'll come after you. They're already coming after me. At least this way I'll take them down with me. Lena studied her. You're not afraid? I'm terrified, but I'm more afraid of doing nothing. Lena understood that. She stood. If you need help, call me. Voss smiled faintly. I will. Lena walked out. The next 48 hours moved fast. The FBI executed synchronized raids across 6 states at dawn. Tactical teams hit 12 hospitals simultaneously. Administrators were pulled from their homes in handcuffs. Doctors were arrested mid-shift. Security personnel were detained on site. The media picked up the story within hours. Every major network ran it. Reporters camped outside hospitals. Camera crews swarmed federal buildings. Lena watched it all from the JSOC facility, monitoring updates as they came in. Grant stood beside her, arms crossed. 17 arrests so far, he said. More coming. What about Aldridge? Still in the wind, but Interpol's involved now. He can't hide forever. Lena's phone buzzed. A text from Voss. Article goes live in 1 hour. Thought you should know. Lena showed Grant. He whistled. That's going to be a bombshell. That's the point. Exactly 1 hour later, Rachel Voss' article hit the internet. Within minutes, it was trending on every social media platform. The story was exhaustive. Thousands of words, dozens of photos, documented evidence of every crime. Names were named. Faces were shown. There was nowhere left to hide. Lena's phone rang. Crane. Turn on the news, he said. She grabbed her remote, switching on the TV in the break room. Every channel was covering it. Anchors read from Voss's article. Legal analysts discussed implications. Victims' families gave tearful interviews. And then the anchor said something that made Lena freeze. We're also learning tonight that a key figure in exposing this network is Lieutenant Lena Wara Whitaker, a former combat medic and current tactical medical specialist. Sources say Whitaker was initially targeted by one of the conspirators but turned the tables, ultimately helping to bring down the entire operation. Lena's face appeared on the screen. An old military photo. Her phone exploded. Texts, calls, messages from people she hadn't spoken to in years. She turned off the TV and walked outside. The night air was cool, clear. She leaned against the building, trying to process everything. Ramos found her 10 minutes later. "You okay?" Ramos asked. "Everyone keeps asking me that." "Because everyone's worried about you." Lena looked at her. "I didn't ask for this. The attention, the recognition. I just wanted to do my job." "I know, but you can't control how people react. You can only control what you do next." "And what should I do next?" Ramos thought about it. "Whatever feels right. Not what anyone else thinks you should do. What you want." Lena considered this. "I don't know what I want." "Then figure it out. But you don't have to figure it out tonight." They stood in silence, looking up at the stars. 3 days later, Victor Aldridge was arrested at a private airfield in Morocco. He'd been trying to board a plane to Dubai under a false identity. Moroccan authorities detained him, and he was extradited within 72 hours. The media frenzy intensified. More arrests followed. The network was dismantled piece by piece, and through it all, Lena stayed quiet. She didn't give interviews, didn't make statements, just went to work, did her job, and went home. But the world had changed around her. People recognized her now. Strangers stopped her on the street to thank her. Former colleagues reached out to congratulate her. The hospital where she'd worked sent a formal apology. She ignored most of it. 2 weeks after Aldridge's arrest, Lena received a letter. No return address, just her name and the JSOC facility. She opened it carefully. Inside was a single handwritten note. "Lieutenant Whitaker, I don't know if you remember me. My name is Sarah Dennison. My mother was one of the people killed by the trafficking network. She needed a kidney transplant. They promised her one, took her money, and then she disappeared. I spent 2 years trying to find out what happened to her. Nobody would help me. Nobody cared. But you cared. You fought. And because of you, I finally have answers. I finally know what happened. I can't thank you enough. But I wanted you to know that what you did mattered, not just to me, to everyone. Thank you." Sarah Lena read the letter 3 times. Then she folded it carefully and put it in her pocket. That night she called Crane. "I'm ready to talk about my future," she said. Ache said, "I'm listening. I want to stay, but I want to do more than just respond to emergencies. I want to build something, a training program, something that teaches people how to do what we do." Crane was quiet for a moment. "That's ambitious." "I know, but I think it's necessary. You'd need resources, staff, funding. I'll find it." "You're serious about this?" "Yeah, I am." Crane exhaled. "Okay, let's talk details tomorrow. Come to my office at 800. I'll be there." She hung up. For the first time in months, Lena felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. The next morning, Lena sat in Crane's office with a proposal she'd written overnight. 10 pages outlining a comprehensive training program for tactical medics. Curriculum. Requirements. Goals. Crane read through it carefully. When he finished, he set it down. "This is good work. Thank you. But it's going to take time, approvals, budgets. You're looking at 6 months minimum before we can launch. I can wait. And you're going to need help. Instructors, support staff. You can't do this alone. I know. I've already got people in mind." Crane smiled. "Of course you do." He extended his hand. "Let's make it happen." Lena shook it. Over the next 6 months, Lena worked harder than she'd ever worked in her life. She developed lesson plans, recruited instructors, secured equipment, built simulation labs. Ramos was the first person she asked to join. "You want me to teach?" Ramos asked, incredulous. "You've got the experience, and you understand what it's like to be new. That matters." "I'm not qualified." "Neither was I when I started. You'll learn." Ramos thought about it. "Okay, I'm in." Ford signed on as a defensive tactics instructor. Kim handled emergency medicine protocols. Even Grant agreed to teach leadership. The program launched in March. 20 students enrolled in the first class, military veterans, paramedics, nurses. People from all backgrounds, all united by a single goal, to save lives in impossible situations. Lena taught the opening session. She stood in front of the class, looking at 20 faces staring back at her with a mix of nervousness and determination. "This program isn't going to be easy," she said. You're going to be pushed. You're going to fail. You're going to question why you're here. Someone raised their hand, a young woman, maybe 25. So why are we here? Lena smiled. Because someone has to be. Because when everything goes wrong, when people are dying and nobody knows what to do, someone has to step up. And that someone is you. She paused. I'm not going to lie to you. This job will break your heart. You'll lose patience. You'll make mistakes. You'll wonder if you're good enough. Another hand, a man this time, older, with scars on his forearms. And if we're not? Then you get better. You learn. You adapt. Because the alternative is quitting. And if you quit, someone else dies. The room was silent. But here's the truth, Lena continued. You are good enough. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. And over the next 6 months, I'm going to prove that to you. We're going to train. We're going to fail. We're going to get back up. And by the time you leave this program, you're going to be ready for anything. She looked at each of them. So let's get started. The training was brutal. 16-hour days, simulated mass casualty events, live fire exercises. Students dropped out. Some couldn't handle the pressure. Others realized it wasn't for them. But the ones who stayed got stronger. Lena watched them grow, watched them struggle and succeed and fail and try again. And she realized something. This was what she was meant to do. Not fighting, not surviving, building, creating something that would outlast her, something that mattered. 6 months later, the first class graduated. 18 students made it through. All of them changed, hardened, ready. There was a small ceremony. Families attended. Crane gave a speech. Ruiz presented certificates. And when it was over, one of the graduates approached Lena. It was the young woman who'd asked why they were there. Thank you, she said. For what? For showing us it's possible. For not giving up on us. Lena smiled. I didn't do anything. You did the work. But you believed in us. Even when we didn't believe in ourselves. Lena nodded. That's the job. The woman left. Lena stood alone in the empty classroom, looking at the chairs, the equipment, the walls covered in diagrams and protocols. Her phone buzzed. A text from Voss. Book's done. Hits shelves next month. Dedicated to you. Lena typed back. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. None of this happens without you. Lena smiled. Thank you. She pocketed her phone and walked outside. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The JSOC facility was quiet, peaceful. Lena stood there, breathing in the cool evening air, and thought about everything that had happened. Hayes, Holt, Aldridge, the trafficking network, the arrests, the trials. All of it leading to this moment. Standing in front of a building she'd helped create, surrounded by people she'd helped train, building something that would save lives long after she was gone. It wasn't the ending she'd expected, but it was the ending she needed. Ramos appeared beside her. You coming to the celebration? What celebration? Ford's buying drinks. The whole team's going. You should come. Lena thought about it. Yeah, okay. They walked to the parking lot together. You ever think about how different things could have been? Ramos asked. How do you mean? If Hayes hadn't stopped you that night, if Holt hadn't set you up, if none of this had happened. Lena considered it. Sometimes, but I don't think about it too much. Why not? Because it did happen, and I can't change that. All I can do is move forward. Ramos nodded. That's a good way to look at it. They reached Lena's car. You know what I think? Ramos said. What? I think Hayes did you a favor. Lena raised an eyebrow. A favor? Yeah. He tried to break you, and instead you became this. Ramos gestured around. Someone who changes lives. Someone who builds instead of destroys. That's not nothing. Lena thought about that. Maybe you're right. I'm always right. Lena laughed. Let's not get carried away. They got in the car and drove to the bar. The team was already there. Ford, Kim, Grant. Even Crane had shown up. They were loud, laughing, trading stories. Lena sat down and someone handed her a drink. To Lena, Grant said, raising his glass, for being too stubborn to quit. Everyone raised their glasses. To Lena, they echoed. She smiled, feeling the warmth of the moment. These people weren't just her team, they were her family. And for someone who'd spent so long alone, that meant everything. The night wore on, stories were told, jokes were made, and for a few hours, the weight of everything they'd been through lifted. Lena sat back watching them and realized something. She'd spent 15 years fighting enemies, fighting systems, fighting herself, but she wasn't fighting anymore. She was living, and that was a victory all its own. Later, as she drove home, her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Hello? Lieutenant Whitaker? A woman's voice. Young, uncertain. Yeah, who's this? My name is Emily Grant. I'm a paramedic in Ohio. I just read about your training program, and I wanted to know if you're taking applications for the next class. Lena smiled. We are. Applications open next month. Good, because I want to be part of what you're building. I want to make a difference. Why? Emily paused. Because 6 months ago, I lost a patient, a kid, 10 years old, car accident, and I didn't know what to do. I froze, and he died. Lena's chest tightened. I'm sorry. Me too, but I don't want it to happen again. I want to be better, and I think you can teach me how. Lena pulled over, parking on the side of the road. What makes you think that? Because I read about what you did, how you stood up when nobody else would, how you didn't give up. And I thought, if she can do that, maybe I can too. Lena closed her eyes. You can. You really think so? I know so. Apply for the program. We'll see you in 6 months. Thank you, Lieutenant. You have no idea what this means. I think I do. Emily hung up. Lena sat in her car, staring out at the night. She thought about Hayes, about how he'd tried to break her, about how he'd failed. She thought about Holt, about greed and desperation, and the choices people made when they stopped caring about others. She thought about Aldridge and the network and all the lives destroyed in the name of profit. And then she thought about Sarah Dennison's letter, about Emily Grant's phone call, about the 18 graduates who'd walked out of her program ready to save lives. Hayes had tried to make her feel small, but she'd become something bigger than he could ever imagine. Not because she was perfect, not because she never failed, but because she'd refused to let someone else's cruelty define her. She'd taken the worst moment of her life and turned it into something meaningful, and that was power, real power, the kind that couldn't be taken away. Lena started the car and drove home. When she got there, she sat on her couch and pulled out Sarah's letter again. She read it one more time. Then she folded it carefully and placed it in a drawer, next to her medals and commendations and all the other things that represented who she'd been. But this letter represented something different. It represented who she was becoming. Someone who didn't just survive, someone who thrived, someone who built instead of destroyed. Someone who chose hope over anger. And that was enough. More than enough. It was everything. Lena Whitaker had been dismissed, doubted, and attacked, but she hadn't been defeated, because defeat wasn't about falling, it was about staying down. And she'd never stay down, not for Hayes, not for Holt, not for anyone. She'd get up, every single time, and she'd keep building, keep teaching, keep fighting for the people who couldn't fight for themselves. Because that's what heroes did. Not the ones in movies, not the ones with capes and powers. The real ones. The ones who showed up when everything was falling apart and refused to leave until it was fixed. The ones who turned pain into purpose. The ones who proved that strength wasn't about never breaking. It was about how you put yourself back together. And Lena had put herself back together into something extraordinary. Not because the world believed in her, but because she believed in herself. And in the end, that was the only thing that mattered. She turned off the lights and went to bed. Tomorrow, there would be more students to train, more lives to save, more battles to fight. But tonight, she rested. Because she'd earned it. And because she knew deep in her bones that she was exactly where she was supposed to be, doing exactly what she was meant to do. And nothing, not Hayes, not Holt, not anyone, could take that away from her. She'd won. Not by destroying her enemies, but by refusing to become them. And that victory would echo far longer than any revenge ever could.